so you came in contact with the Gene Keys. So now you share your story.
So after my diagnosis, decided to book a one-way ticket and go and experience life because tomorrow wasn't guaranteed. I bought myself a guitar and I was adamant about learning how to play and to sing because I didn't know if I was going to be able to hear my own voice again or hear music. So nothing was guaranteed. So I decided to go traveling around the world, and I took this guitar with me and learned a few chords and started singing and feeling the vibration of my voice. And I remember being in a space and my friends pushed across the table this giant book. I mean, it's hefty.
But the Gene Keys book it's a tome.
It's already off-putting for a lot of people being like, that's a lot. No, thanks. And she said, I think you'd really appreciate this book. Now, I opened it up, and at that time in my life, I just was not a vibrational match to the information. Here comes Lily.
Here she is.
I was not a vibrational match to the information. And so I had it on my shelf, but I didn't dive into it for a while afterwards. And then there was one moment where it was like, okay, this is the time. I'm going to get into this book. And now once I actually started to realize and deeper level of understanding of what the Gene Keys is, it's so much more than a book.
Yes.
It's a living transmission that you can never really exhaust. And it is a code book of consciousness to understand oneself and understand that our greatest challenge holds within it the seed of our greatest gift. Now, at my dismay, I was going through the book and realized that I had this gene key of deafness.
We're going to dive way into that for all of our sakes.
When I saw that word, and while I was processing the curriculum that life had presented me with my hearing, I remember reading that gene key, and it genuinely felt like my DNA was restructuring itself in real time. It was like a psychedelic, altered state of consciousness that left me in a place of speechlessness and timelessness and pure awe. I remember it that day and that moment, and I will remember it for the rest of my life, just sitting in my little cabin in the forest, crying with the potential that my deafness actually wasn't.
It was a gift.
It was a gift. I had been gifted it. And also recognizing that the overarching theme of the Gene Keys is that everybody is dealt certain cards in this life that are challenging, that are painful, that are discombobulating, that leave us on our knees questioning why. And right within that challenge also holds the seed of our greatest gift and then ultimately our service to the whole. And so maybe not everybody relates to the deafness. However, I'm sure everybody can relate to a challenge. And so when I understood that actually in the Gene Keys, there's the challenge, the shadow, there's also the gift. And then in the highest expression, there's the siddhi, which is essentially the enlightened aspect where maximum amount of light is entering our DNA. Now we are vibrational beings, and ultimately it's never ending on inwards and it's never ending externally, meaning that we have around 75 trillion cells in our body that are vibrating, and ultimately they have two jobs. Really what it comes down to is to listen and to respond to the story. 60,000 thoughts we think a day on average. The cells are listening and responding to whatever we are telling ourselves and how far our imagination is willing to go.
Right.
And so if I could only be limited to, oh, well, this is just the worst thing that could happen to me and this is super sad, then my cells are listening and going, okay, then that's the truth of it.
Yes. So we're going to dive into that key number 43 that has deafness, epiphany, insight, because every one of the keys starts with the shadow. And so Richard really gives, I think Gene Keys, the work, gives people permission to look at the shadow and to allow themselves to take in what there is to gain from that, because then it guides you right on through to the gift of each one. So it's a very complete way of acknowledging one's full self. So I'll just tell a little experience. About a year ago, I think there were 3 of us. I was here in Boulder, and a couple of girlfriends were with me, and we all got our profile, our Gene Key profiles, which anyone can go to genekeys.com and pull up their free profile, right? We pulled up our profiles, and we had the book, the big book. And what I found so fascinating was that in the case of women, and I don't know that this would be the same way with men, the women were happy to acknowledge and accept their shadows. but had a much more difficult time accepting their gift. It was very interesting. And so having each other read together and study it together gave us an opportunity to validate the beauty in each other that oftentimes women are shut down from seeing. Just because of the patriarchy, we have learned to minimize our value. And I was watching it in action and thought, this is amazing. It's so beautiful that we can validate each other and say, absolutely, you have that strength. That is your gift. So it's lovely to do in group, not just individually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that you said that, because it really gave me a new definition of what it means to hold space.
Mm-hmm.
And what I believe that truly means is that when somebody is in their shadow, aka a negative thought pattern, a belief system that is an illusion that is a couple of degrees away from who they truly are, when we can witness somebody that is present within that narrative and to hold also in the same breath the potential that they can live into, and seeing their potential and loving their potential and knowing their potential, that is the opportunity to catalyze them into their greatness, because to truly see someone in the entirety of their being is the greatest gift we could ever give.
It gives language for it. It gives poetic, beautiful language for it, and truthful language. You can't really escape. I mean, when I first read my profile, I thought, oh my God, just this little the four primary areas of your life that it illustrates in a paragraph or two. I thought, geez, I do need to interview this man. So I am. He's coming in a couple of months' time. So anyway, but he has great respect for what you've done with it, by the way, because I spoke to him about it. And he said, you're really magnificent in interpretation, and I understand you help other people understand you help them read their gene keys and embrace and understand the knowledge. Is that true?
It is true. So after I went through my whole chart and just had this massive activation around it, when I believe in something, it's called heart marketing in the Gene Keys. When I believe in something, I want to shout it from the rooftops. Oh my gosh, this is brilliant. Everybody gets to have a Gene Key book on their coffee table.
No wonder Richard loves you so much. You're the roof crier.
And so I just started reading my friends' Gene Keys, just like you did. You bought it to your sisters and you just went into it.